Hello, this is Willie Jones, and I'm with Women for Progress Radio. We're so excited today to be here at Urban Foxes, one of our favorite places in the city of Jackson. If you're looking for a good cup of joe, or just a great relaxing place to sit, relax, read, get caught up on some work, or just to relax and have a great slice of pie, because our Urban Foxes has a lineup of desserts that are just out of this world. So we want you to stop by Urban Foxes right here at 826 North Street and check them out. They're such a wonderful community partner also. Women for Progress, we're here all the time, either for early coffee meetings or maybe dropping in during the day. So it's a great spot in the city of Jackson. And when we think about what's good in Jackson, Urban Foxes is what's good in Jackson. So today we're talking to one of our candidates for the Mississippi Supreme Court. And he's been a long-term leader here in the state of Mississippi and a great support of the Hinds Countyans. And so we're glad to be able to talk with him. We want to remind you that the runoff election for Mississippi Supreme Court is Tuesday, November 26th, from 7 to 7 p.m. And it's so important for us to go back. I know we're going to be getting out, buying our turkeys, getting the dressing ready, getting relatives in, putting up our bean bags and sleeping bags for our families that's coming in town. But we need you to make sure that you drop in at your polling location and vote. I know it's a challenge. Sometimes we've just come off election and those kind of things, but when you hear our conversation today and hear from Justice Kitchens, you're going to know that it's very important for you to come out on Tuesday and vote. So just really, and also what we want you to do also is share this video. We're going to be rotating it over the weekend, and we want you to share it with all of your families and friends, and so that they can also get out and vote on Tuesday, November 26th. Judge, welcome again to Women for Progress Radio, because you've been a frequent visitor.
I have, and I always enjoy it. Thank you so much for letting me come today.
Well, thank you so much for being so responsive for organizations like Women for Progress. I was just going through some of our historical pictures, getting ready for our Kwanzaa this year, and I saw where you came in and talked to us when we were at WMBR, and you had a sit-down interview with our founder. So I'm going to have to send you that picture because it's part of history now that she's no longer with us.
I'd love to have that.
Yeah. So I want to talk today. Of course, you've been on the ground, knocking on doors all over this state, talking to folks. And so I know that you have a wealth of information on what the needs of the people are. Of course, you've been on the bench for a very long period of time. But tell us, let's start off by talking to why you chose law. What was the catalyst for this career for you?
Well, that is a very long story, and the essence of it is really kind of silly. I had a younger brother who was much smarter than I, and he wanted to go to medical school, and my parents insisted that he go to school close to home, and he wanted to go to a larger university somewhere. He was recruited by Harvard. He won a National Merit Scholarship. And so my dad finally said, well, if you go up to Ole Miss and take care of him for a couple of years, you can come back and go back to work for me. I was working in my dad's business down in Crystal Springs. And so this was about 2 weeks before the semester started. And we didn't know whether either one of us could get in, but we did. And so that got me in law school. I needed something to do while I was up there babysitting my little brother. So I got in law school. So it wasn't any great inspirational thing for me. It was just a matter of necessity, and I stayed there a couple of years. As it happened, our father's health failed miserably while we were there. He got very sick and ended up having to sell his business. So I woke up one morning after I was about through with my second year in law school, and I said, I may have to do this. I better get serious about it.
Yeah. But it sounds like it was destiny, because we've all in the state of Mississippi benefited from that decision that you made. So let's talk about the actual court, Mississippi Supreme Court. Many of us, especially the voters that's going to be going on Tuesday, we need to make sure that voters understand the essentialness of this particular position and how important it is for us and how it touches our lives every single day. So tell us about the Supreme Court. What is its roles and responsibilities?
Well, I think most people know that it is the highest court in our state court system, and I emphasize state because it doesn't have anything to do with the federal courts, which is a parallel system in our state and in all states. But the Supreme Court is the court of last resort in our state court system. We never have trials there. We never have juries there. We don't even have witnesses at the Supreme Court. Every case that we get there has already been tried somewhere in one of the 82 counties of Mississippi. And we get most of our cases from circuit court. We also get a lot of cases from Chancery Court, some from county court, and a couple of agencies like the Workers' Compensation Commission and the Public Service Commission. Folks can appeal directly from those agencies to the Supreme Court.
Wow. And so we know how the significant is. And tell us what type of court cases you all hear. Do you hear all types of cases, criminal, property, equity? Tell us about the cases.
The short answer is yes, we do. We have the most serious criminal cases, the death penalty cases at the Supreme Court. We also have the whole gamut of criminal law, from lesser felonies on up through the homicides and the very serious offenses. And then we have civil cases, mostly large ones. We get some of the smaller civil work, but big car wrecks and things like that, if they are appealed, they come to the Supreme Court. As you know, that the appeals are usually prosecuted by somebody that lost in a trial court. And the loser has a right to appeal to the state Supreme Court.
And how significant are the number of cases that actually gets overturned when it comes to the Supreme Court? Like you said, it's the last court of appeal. So, or is it 50% of those cases are turned over? What do you know what the percentages are?
I don't have any recent data on that, but it's not that high. There are probably more affirmances or cases upheld than reversed. And even those that are reversed, most of them get sent back for another trial. It's a court where we correct errors if we can. We call those errors to the attention of the trial judges and send the cases back to them for a trial that would hopefully be free of those errors on retrial.
Well, your statement just leads in my next question is how important it is to have a trial attorney on the bench, somebody who has had that type of experience.
Well, speaking from my own perspective, I can't imagine that I would be nearly as effective, nearly as understanding of the cases before me as I am if I had not spent most of my life trying cases. I got out of law school when I was 24 years old. Back then, lawyers were appointed from the bar. We had no public defenders, but usually the judges would appoint the youngest lawyers in the county to defend very serious cases for indigent people or people that couldn't afford counsel. So I got appointed on a couple of murder cases right off the bat, soon after I got out of law school. And by the time I was 25 years old, I had tried both of those murder cases to verdict. Both of them were capital murder cases, and I had won both of those cases. So I never stopped trying cases after that. I spent my life as a courtroom lawyer primarily.
Wow. And we all in the state of Mississippi benefit from that experience.
I don't know how I could look at the cases that come to us on appeal and understand what really went on, what the real deal is about those cases, just from the briefs that the lawyers file and the transcript of the record from the court reporter. Because if you haven't been there and done that, you don't really get the full flavor of what really happened and why it happened as it did in the courtroom. So it gives me a great advantage to have been in the courtroom and seen all these things for myself, been involved in them. I can't imagine a lawyer being on the Supreme Court that had not had such experiences.
Right. So how would you describe your judicial philosophy and what principles guide your decision-making process on the bench?
Well, I've thought about that, been asked that a lot of times, and I have to say that I don't guess I really have any philosophy other than to do right, to treat everybody the same, to treat everybody fairly. Some people say I'm a moderate, some people say I'm a liberal, and I don't know what I am. I have not set out to be a liberal or a conservative. I've set out to seek the truth and do right when I was considering cases that I know involve more than just abstract academic legal principles.
Right.
They involve real people with real problems, real lives, real families, and I can see that through the eyes of somebody that helped those people and worked with them for many decades as a lawyer.
Right. What do you believe are the most pressing challenges facing the judiciary today, and how can they be addressed?
I think the most serious thing is incursions that are attempted in one way or another by various entities upon the independence of the judiciary. You know, we have 3 independent branches of government, and the state constitution of Mississippi recognizes separation of powers stronger than most states do. Our Constitution says that one shall not encroach upon the other. And so we need an independent judiciary, one that can judge the actions of the executive branch and the actions of the legislative branch independently without some allegiance or some reliance on them for anything. So the independence of the judiciary is important. We see that playing out now on the federal level a lot with the U.S. Supreme Court, where justices are wined, dined, entertained, taken on vacation. Very expensive things are done for them, and they don't seem to have any guidelines or any guideposts that keep them from engaging in such activities, and that's disturbing. We do in Mississippi have a pretty strong Judicial Performance Commission, and we have pretty strict rules that apply as much to a justice court judge down in Copiah County where I live as they apply to me or to a circuit judge or any other judge. So we have that, and I'm glad we do have it because it helps to, for lack of a better word, to police the judiciary.
Right. And I want to remind the audience again that the Mississippi State Supreme Court runoff is Tuesday, November 26th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We want everybody, every registered voter to come out and vote in this election. It's so very important to our everyday lives. We've been talking a lot about on the federal level because we just had a election where we had the presidential candidates on the ballot. But as they say, all politics is local. And so this is a race that really impacts our lives, our pocketbooks, every single day. And it's so important for everyone to come out. We have a history in Mississippi and we're continually struggling with that today. So it's important for us to have fair judges that are on the bench that understands everyone's rights here in the state of Mississippi and make sure that all voices are heard and that equity and justice is being carried out on all of our benches here in the state of Mississippi. So please come out on November 26th and vote. Go to your polling location. If you did not vote in the previous election and you don't know where your polling location is, we want you to go to vote411.org, vote411.org, and you can find out where your polling location is and all of the information. And this vote411.org is a website that's being administered by the League of Women Voters, a trusted source for over 100 years. So we want you to make sure that you go there, get the information you need. I think there's also additional information on the candidates that have been provided that you can get information there also. And of course, if you don't find what you need there, you still need help and assistance, you need a ride to the poll, we want you to reach out to Women for Progress. Our telephone number is 601-259-6770. You can email us at womenforprogressinc@gmail.com, and we will be glad to help you. If we don't have the resources and information for you, we'll definitely make sure that you get connected. So that's Tuesday, November 26th, and that's a runoff with the Mississippi Supreme Court. And again, today we've been talking with Justice Jim Kitchens, and we're so excited to have him today with us to be able to share with us about the education around the Supreme Court, what we need to know, and what's important for us to know. Now, my next question, Judge, is in what ways do you think public perception of the judicial system can be improved, and what roles do the justice play in that?
Well, I think that is something that needs improvement. People, first of all, have to trust us. They have to trust the judiciary to be doing the right thing and not be owing allegiance to some entity, a political party, or whatever kind of entity it might be. We need independent judges who are not afraid of the next election, not afraid of somebody cutting their budget or anything of that sort. We need to be able to look at the case and compare it to the law and follow the law and the facts and nothing else in those decisions. And the public needs to trust and understand that that is what's going to happen with the cases that go through the Mississippi court system.
And that's why it's important for voters also to be educated on what the roles of the court is, so you can understand what cases and what decisions are being made there. And you've done an amazing job today of helping us stay informed and be informed. How does political alliances show up in judicial temperament and philosophy?
Well, it's not supposed to at all. The legislature, I think very wisely, about 30 years ago, changed the way that we conduct elections in a major way for judicial office. The people of Mississippi like electing people, so we're not likely to go to any kind of appointed system because the people don't want that. So the effort was made to try to take politics out of the judicial selection process as much as possible. So the legislature passed statutes that prohibit judicial candidates from claiming affiliation or allegiance to any sort of political party. You will notice on your ballot Tuesday that you will just see my name and my opponent's name when it gets to the Supreme Court race for the Central District. And you won't see a D, you won't see an R, you won't even see an I for independent, because all of us in the judiciary, except the municipal court judges, are elected. And by the way, I don't know why this hasn't happened yet, but the legislature has not yet taken the justice court judges out of the political realm. They still have D's and R's by their name. But that said, the concept of not having political party connections, affiliations, is a good one. And I have done my best to adhere to that. I have had political parties offer to endorse me, and I have declined to let them do that. I want their votes. I want everybody's votes. I don't care whether they're D's or R's or I's or libertarians or what they may be. I would like to have their vote. But I am not going to align myself with a political party. You may be able to get real close to the edge on that and claim some things that perhaps nothing can be done about. But I think the spirit of the law has to be observed as much as the letter of the law. So I don't claim affiliation with any party, and I don't let parties endorse me.
Well, we've seen a lot of people riding that line in this year, and it's important for our voters to understand that when you go to polls on Tuesday, November 26th, that it is supposed to be a nonpartisan occasion for you. And so when you go to that poll on Tuesday, you need to make sure you need to look at experience. You need to check out the resumes of both of the candidates that are on the ballot. Look at what their experience are, what they bring to the table. Look at what their records are. So important for you to look at the records of both candidates and decide where you sit and where you stand in your family and what you believe in, what your beliefs and what you desire for this particular race is important for you. And you need to vote the best way possible, not only for yourself, but for your neighbors, for your community. And most importantly in this race, because we're talking about the Mississippi Supreme Court, you are also voting for other Mississippians. And so it's a very important election, Tuesday, November 26th, and we want you to go out and vote. Today, this afternoon, when you get back home from your churches, your engagements today, we want you to take time to take out your phone and do a little phone banking for us. We want you to select 10 contacts from your phone, text those individuals, remind them about the runoff election on Tuesday, and ask them, have they made a plan to go out and vote? It's so important. Email them. If you can do more than 10, I know if you like most of us, I think I have thousands of contacts in my phone. So what a great way to re-engage somebody that you haven't heard from in a while, your relatives that are coming into town, that may be coming in from the Delta or from the Gulf Coast. Reach out and touch them and make sure that you're part of this process. We need so many voters to show up. We need you to show up in big numbers. But then most importantly, we need you to make a plan. When you get up on Tuesday morning, will you be going out and voting before work? Because the polls open up at 7 o'clock, so you can get it done before you have to go to work if you have to get there at 8 o'clock. In the afternoon, when you get off at 5 or 5:30, you're able to do that too. Go to the polls because it's open until 7 o'clock. So in lunch hour, when you take your break, but make a plan so that's important for you. Put an alert on your telephone so that will remind you, I got to get to the poll. So many times, Judge, I've been 15 minutes away from the poll, and I remember I'm about a block away from my polling location. I remember, oh my goodness, I got to get back because our days get busy. Tell our voters why it's important for them to get out and vote in this election.
Because this is likely to be a very close election for one reason, but just in general, it's always important to vote. People in Mississippi should be particularly sensitive to that because in this state, the ground is stained with the blood of people who died, so everybody would have the right to vote. And we dishonor those martyrs and those people that sacrifice so much if we don't go and vote in every election in which we're eligible. And before we get through, you mentioned the coast, you mentioned other parts of the state. I want people to know that this election is just in the central district. If we have time, I'll be glad to tell what the counties are.
Please do.
Okay, there are 22 counties in the central district. And this is the way I remember them. I start over at Vicksburg. There are 3 counties that are entirely south of I-20. I live in one of them. I live in Copiah County, and then Jefferson and Claiborne County. By the way, there are no partial counties. They're all whole counties in the Supreme Court district. So we got 3 counties out of the way. That here are the other 19. Start at Vicksburg, go across Mississippi from west to east on I-20. Every county that I-20 passes through is in the central district. That would be Warren, Hinds, Rankin, Scott, Newton, and Lauderdale. And then go up on the state line over between here and Alabama. You've got 2 counties on the Alabama line in addition to Lauderdale County. And those counties are Noxubee County is the northernmost one, and Kemper County is between Noxubee and Lauderdale County. Now come back from east to west across the state. Let's say we're in Kemper County. So next we come to Neshoba County, then Leake County, and then Yazoo, Holmes, Humphreys, Madison. I almost forgot Madison, but that's a very important big county. Madison County, I said Yazoo and Holmes, Humphreys. We're in the Delta now. When we get to Humphreys County, we're in the Belzona area. So go north from Humphreys County to Sunflower County. That's a long, narrow county, got a bunch of little towns in it. Sunflower County is one of our Delta counties. Go from there further west to Bolivar County. That's where Cleveland and Rosedale are. And that is the northernmost county. So think about it. You got from Jefferson County, just north of Natchez, all the way almost to Clarksdale on the Mississippi River. So we're in Bolivar County on the river. We're going to come back south toward Vicksburg. So come down from Bolivar County to Washington County. That is the most populous of the Delta counties that are in the district. And then we have south of Washington County, where Greenville is, we have 2 smaller counties in terms of population. One is Sharkey County, that's Rolling Fork, and then the smallest populated county in the state is Issaquena County, and we're back to Warren County and Vicksburg now.
Well, Judge, I can tell you've been on the road because you did a great job at mapping out those particular counties that are important. I want to remind our audience again, if you didn't hear your county or you're not sure again, go to vote411.org and put in your address, and your particular ballot, sample ballot would come up and show if you're going out to vote on Tuesday. Or if you just voted in the election, of course, you know that's sure going to be your day also. Also, you can go to our Secretary of State website at sos.ms.gov/elections, and you can find out all of your polling information and on the ballot in the event that you didn't vote in the recent election. So it's going to be so important. I want to mention those again, vote411.org and also sos.ms.gov/elections. And you can find out information up there. And when all of that fails, call Women for Progress. Our website is womenforprogress.net. Our Facebook page is at Women for Progress MS. Our telephone number again is 601-259-6770. If you want to text us your questions, or if you need a ride to the polls, or you need help or any questions, if you get to the polling location and you have some problems and you need help, reach out to us also, and we'll make sure that you get connected to a person that can help you through the process. So, because we want you to have access that you need on Tuesday, and make sure that you get an opportunity to cast your vote, to give your voice to this most important election. And as we wrap up, Judge, I got a couple of questions. We talked about the amount of experience that you had, the trial experience, all those things. What kind of advice would you give young lawyers who wish to follow in your footsteps?
Well, I would start with them when they're law students, and I love having law student interns at the Mississippi Supreme Court. Some of the justices don't want to fool with them. They think they're in the way and too much trouble, but I have been having student interns since I was district attorney. By the way, I'm the only former district attorney that's on the court now, and I'm the only former district attorney that would be there in the next term if I'm reelected. So when I was district attorney, I started having student interns, and I realized how important it is to let them see some real world things before they get out there trying to help the public with serious legal problems. And so I've kept up with that while I've been on the Supreme Court. I have interns every semester. They're not paid. I wish they were, but they're not paid. It's just part of their law school curriculum, and they get credit for it in law school. So if you're interested, come and intern with me at the Supreme Court, or if I'm full up, I'll try to get you with Justice King or some other person that would take an interest in you and try to teach you something.
Wow, this has been an incredible conversation, Justice Kitchens, and we're so excited that you've been sitting down with Women for Progress Radio. I want to wrap up by allowing you to tell voters why they should cast your ballot, cast you on the ballot on Tuesday for Mississippi Supreme Court, Central District.
I never do criticize my opponents on a personal level, but I do evaluate their professional credentials. Senator Branning is my opponent. Senator Branning is from Neshoba County. She has a beautiful family. I've seen pictures of them, and I'm sure that she's good in the Mississippi Senate. But she has never tried a case in circuit court. We get between 70 and 80% of our appeals from the circuit court. She cannot possibly evaluate those cases through the eyes of somebody that's been there and done that. I've been in the courtrooms of Mississippi most of my life, and I am at the top of my game. I feel good. I know I'm doing a good job. Nobody said I've done a bad job, and nobody says that I can't continue doing a good job on the state Supreme Court. I think I'm there for a reason, and I'm trying my best to fulfill that reason of doing justice for all the people of Mississippi without regard to any criteria such as gender, race, or political persuasion, or any of those things. But I look at everybody through the same eyes in the same way and in the light of what the law leads me to do. We have a government of laws, and we need to try to keep it.
I agree with that. And I want to remind voters that are going out, whether you're Democrat or Republican, What's on the ballot and what's important for Tuesday is you vote for good leadership, for experienced leadership. We want you to make sure that you investigate both candidates, make sure you're looking at their records and looking at their experience. This is such a crucial role, as Justice Kitchen says, it's our top court in the state. And so we need you to make sure that you are making good decisions. We at Women for Progress and Women for Progress Radio never tell our voters how to vote, but we say that it's important for you to know and to have good information. And we believe when voters in this state, no matter where you are, if you got good information, information that's true, and you're dealing with the realities of the facts, then we know when you go to the poll, because you have families, because you're mothers, your fathers, you're business owners, you're entrepreneurs, you're everything, homeowners, everywhere in this, you sit and stand in this particular state, specifically what we're talking about today, Central District, is that you will make a good decision based on good leadership and experience on the polls in Tuesday on November 26th. So remember to go again to the polls November 26th. From 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. the polls are open. Please make sure that you make your voting plan now. And finally, I want to ask you again to make sure that when you listen to this video, that you make sure you share it with friends, share it on your Instagram, share it on your Facebook. This broadcast will be broadcast live on Sunday at 6 p.m. Hopefully we won't preempt 60 minutes, but we want you to listen to this conversation. We'll be rotating it over the weekend and through Monday, and then also on Tuesday morning to make sure that you get an opportunity to listen in to what Justice Kitchen has to say today. Thank you so much again for being with us today. This is always a pleasure with Women for Progress Radio. We wish you luck and safety, and I know you still got a little more run in the race to do.
Yes,
so make sure that you're safe out there, and we look forward to seeing you on Tuesday.
Thank you. I enjoyed being with you today.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Women for Progress Radio, thank you so much.